hello, and welcome back to a brand new spanking episode of something that is a little bit different from the first episode. You've meted us, you've greeted us, you've seen how we are, and now we're doing something a little bit new. Today we're going to be doing Dune. Dun dun dun! This is going to be an interesting topic. We have two diehard fans, and then me, who watched them but is not a diehard fan. Let's see how this goes. What do you guys think? Hey, comments, views, aspirations?
I adore it. I mean, let's just start off there. I read the book a while ago and then came back to it specifically for this, but man, Denis Villeneuve is just a genius. And I think the biggest thing that I appreciated about it is it really got me back in touch with my religion, and that was huge for me.
That's nice.
I'm a big fan of Dune. Man, I be doing tricks on it and all that, man. No, but like it's really good. Like I'm a very big fan of like good film. And these days, it is very hard to come by a really good film that's well written, well acted. Like, it is so rare, you know. So whenever I get that, man, it's just super exciting. And yeah, I guess Paul Atreides is my new alter ego now.
And he put it on his profile picture on Instagram. He's embodied this.
It's not as unusual as you think it is.
I know it's not, but like this man's embodied him entirely.
And Instagram.
And Instagram, like everywhere it is.
Stories of him doing his things.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Like, I guess in my view of the movie, I enjoyed the actual the cinematography around it. So the way they were using the actors, the clothing, the scenes, it really puts you in that world, and that's what I appreciated the most of it. I watched the first one on a computer. So I watched the first movie on a Discord call with some friends, and then the second one I watched in the cinema. And it was two different experiences, and I'm glad I watched them back to back, because if I didn't, guys, I would have been lost. I was so sad at the end of the first one. I was like, what's happening?
That is a fair point that I have heard a lot of people say, that the first one confused them. And personally, no, but I could understand. Again, that's because I've got a background with Dune already. I think the other thing I really loved about the movies is that they shot everything on location with natural lighting, which of course made it way more difficult, but made it look spectacular.
Wait, there's natural lighting, everything they didn't use.
That is all sunlight.
Guys, I shouldn't be that surprised, but wow.
And the crazy thing is, like, they actually casted all those, well, they're actually called dunes, but sand mountains, basically. but they basically casted every single, like, dune that is in that movie. So they were there, like, basically like surfers looking for the biggest wave. They looked for every single dune that you see in that movie, and every single dune you see was hand-picked.
Imagine that interview. Hi, sir, I know you're just doing nothing right now, but how do you feel having a giant worm go through you?
Wow. So the first movie, right? The first movie, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think Layla mentioned that people were confused, and I'm gonna be honest. I was confused for the first movie, right? Because like there's a lot of hype behind the movie. You're like, okay, people are so hyped about this. Like, what's the hype about? And then you watch it, right? And I'm gonna be honest, I was lost. Like, I think also I wasn't paying attention partly. You know, I think it came out at a time where I was just stressed with varsity and all that. So I was just there trying to escape reality, only to find people having monologues and speeches, and now they're telling him he's gonna put his hand in a box, and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, yeah, you're inheriting two birthrights. I'm like, what on earth is going on? I was so confused the whole time. I was genuinely so confused, you know. And then when I finished watching the movie, I watched like a couple YouTube videos where they kind of like went through the fact like that Dune essentially inspired Star Wars. Like, that's what the hype is behind, you know, or that's the hype about it. They basically ushered this new era of sci-fi, you know, and it was just confusing. And you know, as time went on, and the more I understood that even the original Star Wars prequel was very political, and I saw that, oh, it actually Dune is also a very much a political film. And then when I rewatched it again, I just enjoyed it. Like, I was paying attention to all the politics, understanding, okay, this is a rare resource that they need to get, and all the politics behind it. It's like a whole game of chess between these large houses, and it is very confusing, your first experience. But of course, the second time you watch it is quite fascinating to watch.
So you see, the thing with me is when I first watched it, I'm somebody, I overanalyze everything I watch the first time I watch it. Like, and it annoys people so much because, like, when I watch a movie, I'm like, wait, no, never mind, and I'm already trying to predict the end. It's really bad, guys. I'm a talker during a movie. I'm sorry. I will try, guys. If we ever do a movie night, I'll bring tape.
Overanalyze, but I do it in my head.
I will bring tape. I'll bring tape. I'll duct tape my mouth. I'll be like, but like. When I watched it the first time, so like I said, I watched it on a Discord call online, right? And so I was in my room busy watching it, and why it felt so different when I watched it in the cinema was because, like, you're looking at your phone quality, you're looking at it through your computer, and it's like, yeah, it's okay, it's not that bad, it's not that different, there's no, right? I enjoyed the way they did it because I liked the theatrical part of it. I liked the story of the different houses, of all of that, the whole thing of his dad's gonna. Sorry for spoilers, but like, his dad dying and everything. I was like, wow.
I don't think that's a spoiler.
It's not really a spoiler,
if that's a spoiler, guys. If that's a spoiler, it's your fault, guys.
Yeah.
Dune, that first Dune came out like in, what was this, like 2021,
and
right?
let's also just, you shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be listening if you haven't watched Dune.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Or if
like,
you don't expect
it
to be spoiled.
You deserve the suffering.
Wow. Anyway, so on that aspect of that thought, when I watched the second one, I realized that how much of it linked. And so because I love reading fantasy, like I love reading high fantasy stuff, so I appreciate world building.
Yes.
So that is why the first one didn't like side push me to not watch the next one.
Oh,
it was confusing, but it was like confusing of, okay, this is the world building part that I'm going to figure out when I read the rest of the book.
Yeah, for sure, when I rewatched the first one, having watched the second one, it was genius. Because I also, y'all did not watch the 1984 version.
I did not, and I'm thankful I did not.
That movie is so goofy. But the thing is, so much of it is tell, don't show. And a lot of it is done through voiceover, which is even more confusing. Dude, I have read the book, I watched the new movies first, and the old Dune still confused me. I was genuine, I don't know what I'm watching. I won't go too deep into 84 Dune, because
84 Dune was useless.
But like,
atrocious.
it came out after all of the original Star Wars, and looked that goofy.
Like, I think for me, the one thing that I didn't watch the 84 Dune, but of course I did see it in some of the YouTube videos I watched that kind of like compared the two films. And one of the things for me that really stood out is Fade Rotha. Like, I don't know what the hell Sting was doing. Like, that was one of the worst acting performances I've ever seen.
Explain for the child who didn't watch it.
You know Sting, the singer Sting, he plays Fade Rotha, and he should stick to singing. That's the most I have to say about that.
Was it giving kindergarten theatre?
No. Let me tell you, the best comparison. Do you guys remember Joker in Suicide Squad? In the Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
He was worse than that. Like, imagine being worse than
the Joker in Suicide Squad. Guys,
bruh.
That was sad.
Joker in Suicide Squad was top tier.
No, but guys, honestly, that was what? Seriously, it was like worse than that.
Yeah,
There's some things that I don't believe.
If I just give you like a small stall about how goofy this movie is.
Yeah.
I'm about to show you a man dying of poison.
Okay.
What?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Is that his dying?
That is the last face he makes before he kind of does a thriller and sort of lifts his hands and falls back.
No way, he actually did that.
He actually did that?
I'm sorry.
Holy moly.
I'm sorry. That was good. Guys, I am so thankful that
Yeah,
acting has improved.
Do you know what? I would still recommend it for the memes.
For the memes.
For the memes.
Do it for the plot, guys. Do it for the
plot.
plot.
And just a sidebar, like, even his hair and makeup is atrocious, guys.
It's horrid.
It's awful.
Like,
It looks
it's
like a
horrible.
1-year-old did his makeup.
It looks like if you try to go as Albert Einstein during Halloween.
No. It looks like you try to dress as Albert Einstein blind in the dark with your 1-year-old child helping you.
Fair enough.
Literally.
Fair enough.
Literally.
And just to wrap up, I think my particular review. And I'm sorry, this takes a bit long.
Yeah, it's fine, girl.
Hollywood has, for a long time, had this thing with Arabs,
Mm-hmm.
where, for the most part, they are the bad guys.
Yep.
You know, they're greedy, power-hungry, obscenely wealthy, and you know, even the way Muslims, or even I think particularly Muslim women,
Yeah.
it's oppressive. If it's not oppressive, it's over-sexualized.
Oh.
And I can tell you for a fact that it has real life implications. I have for the longest time had to defend why I keep my faith, because that's how it's portrayed. That's how it's thought about. I was born in the year of 9/11, but I was still called a terrorist to my face.
Wow.
Sure.
It's rough, and you know, it influences how you see yourself. And the thing in the 84 movie is, to me, it seemed to deliberately veer away from Islamic and Arabic imagery. Like, a lot of the costumes are sort of World War II centric, if they're not sort of Regency era royalty.
Yeah.
But 2021 and 2024 really embrace that was what Herbert was going for. Herbert took massive inspiration from not just the Middle East, but Northern African Islam.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, like I said earlier, it really encouraged me to look back into my religion, because it's truly beautiful. You know, people always in interpretation will mess up what the soul of a religion is. But yeah, it's wonderful in that aspect. And yeah, I think it's a long overdue artistic portrayal of Muslim, or rather Arab culture, with some very Islamic themes, where, you know, it's not, I wouldn't call it glorified, but it's respected. Chani is not submissive or over-sexualized.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is the big veerance off from the book is Chani. Because when Herbert released the first book, he was very perturbed that people viewed Paul as a hero. He didn't want that.
Yeah.
So Chani in the book is very much immediately Lisan al-Ghaib, like this is the guy, I believe in you 100%. But the change in Chani's character is specifically because you, as the audience surrogate, sit in her view, where you kind of see that this is not who he is at first, and you don't want this for him.
Yeah.
Especially in that last scene.
And it's even something he didn't want for himself before he changed, you know. And the nice thing is, like, Shani was that person that said, no, you won't change, like, I believe in you. Shani had, like, of course in the movie it was kind of harder to convince her that he was Lisan al-Ghaib, but then she believed it slowly, naturally, without propaganda. So then to see him veer off so far from what he was, I think it definitely broke her heart as well.
It did.
You know?
Especially like in that last scene when he tells her, like, you know, I love you still no matter what, and then he goes and does something like that. When you see her stand up and look at him and leave, I felt the same way she felt. I was like, you didn't want the fame, you didn't want the power, you didn't want that name, but you so easily allowed yourself to be manipulated by your mom to go straight into, like, for me, I don't know about you guys, but I saw lines to Macbeth. I saw a lot of connections to Macbeth. The whole thing of Macbeth versus Lady Macbeth, where, like, Macbeth himself is like, he's not going to go kill a king. He doesn't really believe in the witches, right? But then his wife is like, but what if? And then he's like, okay, let me do it. Same thing with the mom. He was like, he doesn't want to do that, doesn't want to be there. Mom's like, do it. And he's like, okay. And then goes off the deep end.
I think it is though worth saying that it wasn't easy manipulation.
It wasn't.
It
He
was.
did
fight.
He fought really
He fought,
hard.
he
He
did.
did fight, but
So I think that's why that change was very jarring. And I think That's also a special sneak peek. Watch till the end, and we're actually going to tackle how Dune handles religion, which is actually quite interesting.
Absolutely.
So we're going to tackle that towards the end of the episode, so don't leave. And I think another important thing to address in the Star Wars, in what Dune does is how it handles the hero's journey,
Let's go.
Just before we get into that, even like, guys, I'm gonna be honest, like the experience of watching this movie in the cinema is genuinely something special, because I think I've been to the cinema maybe 3-4 times in the past couple of months, and one of those times was me watching The Hunger Games, which also features a bit of a chosen one story, and some other movie, I can't remember. Oh yes, the Marvels, and I kind of fell asleep like through both of those movies. Like I genuinely fell asleep in the cinema. And the first 2 times I fell asleep, I was with my sister and my cousin. The second time I was with my girlfriend, and I still fell asleep. But when I watched Dune, I did not even a little bit.
I feel offended for all Marvel movies.
That's how that I just want to emphasize.
Even the Marvels.
Bro, he went to okay.
Caitlyn, the Marvels fell off. Like it's not.
That's not the subject.
Yeah,
Okay,
but either way, the point
Yeah.
I wanted to make is watching Dune in the cinema is genuinely an electrifying experience because of especially how they handle the hero's journey.
Yeah.
I think also just sort of very quick thing, the first person Denis approached was Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer was writing the soundtrack before they started writing the script. The music is everything in Dune. That's what makes the cinematic experience so much better, because you feel the music.
That is so true. So now that was like with that kind of aspect, the hero's journey is something that is very prominent in that movie. Especially like we can even argue, is he truly the hero, right? Because the way he ends up changing the second movie, I'm waiting for when the next one will come out to actually see how that goes, because I haven't read the book. But how he changes himself and how he grows but then deteriorates is something that I find very fascinating within that hero's journey. Something that people don't often see. Because people often think like, oh, the hero, he just keeps on going like underdog, then he grows stronger, then he just becomes the best, and then, he's the hero. Yeah. But this kind of gives me a view of, he started off powerful, but didn't want that power. Then he became even more powerful, gained something new, unlocked a part of himself that he didn't think he could unlock. But now he immediately starts deteriorating and being corrupted by that power. And some people still see him as the hero, the people who are following him, who are perceiving him as this figure that needs to be there. And others are sitting there in fear, like, is he truly supposed to be there?
I think there's also a sort of interesting question of, he's not meant to be a hero in the traditional sense, but he still changed the world in a manner that the Fremen were looking for. That, I won't spoil it, but in the context of the film, still seems like a good change.
Yeah.
And I think in that aspect is where, the hero's journey, he can still be called a hero in a certain context, which is part of the depth of his character.
Okay, and just for the benefit of our listeners, we're just going to give like a short explanation of what the hero's journey actually is. The hero's journey is essentially a writing formula created by Joseph Campbell, which essentially kind of goes through the typical, like sort of like the 17 stages that a hero goes through their journey, and it's something that's used in pretty much almost every single piece of literature. It's basically the formula, it's the standard. So what really stands out in the story is how the author was essentially able to deviate from such an effective form of storytelling and still making sense, And there's something he mentioned. He said he wanted Dune to kind of be a warning that charismatic leaders should come with a warning sign. Like he himself said something along the lines of charismatic heroes should be given with a warning sign of might be bad for your health. And I think what will Layla do now is kind of like explain the hero's journey a little bit more in depth, and then we'll also address how Dune follows this hero's journey and where it deviates from it.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so Jersey Campbell. His name is Joseph. Sorry, that was a joke and it didn't.
It's cool, girls.
So we've got the 17 steps, and it's typical that your hero won't follow all of them, in order or all of them at all. I think, and I'll reference the video, captured it best within the story of Luke Skywalker in A New Hope. So I'm going to run through the steps very quickly without, expanding on them too much unless it's confusing. So, your first one is always the ordinary world. You set up where the hero is and where he started, and usually it's pretty boring.
Need some spice.
Hint, hint.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Nice one.
So then we have the call to adventure. Typically first the hero will refuse. And then there's supernatural aid or something that prompts them on the journey. Then we have crossing of the first threshold. This is typically leaving home or like the first battle you have. Belly of the whale is biblical reference. It's where your hero has the sort of first revelation.
Can I reference that biblical reference? So for people who don't know, that is the story of Jonah, and in his hero's journey, in his story, he's told by God to go and deliver the people of Nineveh that they need to repent, they need to get better, and he doesn't want to because he's afraid of it. He's like, no, they've done too much bad. Goes into a ship, and then, long story short, he gets thrown off the boat, gets swallowed by a whale, and then 3 days later changes his mind. He's like, God, you were right, I'm not going to do that again. Let me do it.
Why does it feel like Elsa from Frozen?
So that's how it kind of happened.
The same story actually appears in the Quran. The names are just different. Then the next step, we're at number 6, is the road of trials. This is pretty standard stuff. You're in conflict, you have ups, you have downs. And then you have these 2 steps involving women, because obviously, it's typically a man's journey. So we have meeting with the goddess and woman as temptress. So, I'm not going to go too deep into it. Then we have atonement with the father. This doesn't have to be the father. This is like an embodiment of
a father figure.
A father figure, or just ultimate power, sort of, over the son. Then we have the ultimate boon. This is something the hero is after. It's the big.
It's kind of like the goal,
like
what we're trying to reach.
And, it's usually like...
defeating the Dark Lord.
Yeah, whatever it is, the big one, the big goal. And then you have refusal of return. It's where the hero's kind of like up in the air, he's probably lost someone and he doesn't want to continue.
Oh, okay.
The magic flight is usually... Is
it a broomstick?
It can be. It certainly can be.
Yeah,
I think the best one is sort of in A New Hope, when they are shooting through
space.
Yeah, space, I guess. Stupid. What I'm actually thinking of is the flight into the Death Star.
Oh.
It's the beginning of that conflict. It's the rebels arriving in the Death Star. Then you have rescue from without, obviously Han Solo coming to take out the TIE fighters on... I'm so blocked today.
It's okay, girl.
On Luke's trail.
Not to be confused with actual TIE fighters that fight Muay Thai. TIE fighters in Star Wars.
No.
Yeah, let's just clear that up, people.
Let's keep it clear. And cross the return threshold. I think
so it's like the point of no return. It's like now you're in this for life. Like this is your
journey. This is your lifestyle
yes,
now.
Definitely. And in Star Wars, it's embodied by the when Luke turns off his guidance and uses the Force. Then he's in it. Then there's no stopping it. And then he becomes the master of 2 worlds. He's become this hero, and he's gained this sort of essence of the Force. And he finishes it with freedom to live. Now, what's fun about Star Wars is it all happens internally in all three movies, and it's like in a grander scheme across the three movies.
Right.
But the fun thing about Dune and the hero's journey is he still follows some of these steps, but he more closely follows Henry Raglan's hero's journey, which is more of the mythic hero's journey. So,
but this is like more into like the fantasy heroes or what?
kind of. So, just a fun fact: the beginning of Raglan's book says, "Dedicated to my grandchildren who can read fairy stories without believing them to be true."
Yeah.
So it's not about real history. It's about like ritualistic drama. So there's a few. Some of these are a bit more specific. So this is 22 steps, and again, I'm not gonna go deep into them. I'm kind of just gonna fire them off this time.
Let's go.
So mother is a royal virgin, and father is king.
Wow. Literally.
Yeah. Paul, of course, has both of those. You've often got the near relative of the mother as the villain, who is of
Wow. Basically,
Literally Baron Harkness.
Okay, we see you.
Yeah.
We see
Yeah, if you
you.
haven't seen Dune 2, guys.
Yeah.
Excuse-
Shame, man.
Sorry, spoiler.
Tough luck.
Then you have unusual conception. I mean,
And there is one, like the baby in the womb is so unusual. Like
Not only that,
So-
his conception.
yes, but also no. So
Okay.
this follows both Paul and Alia's stories, because
Okay.
we're talking about unusual conception in this realm of Paul. It's that he should have been a girl.
Oh yeah, that's
he should have
true.
been a girl.
Yes.
And he's reported to be the son of God, which is in quotation because it's just about having some holy or
Yeah, there's a lot of biblical references in these guys.
divinity, God. Okay. So we have an attempt to kill the hero in youth. We see it in the movie. It's the hunter seeker.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes.
it will happen in infancy, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost always by the maternal grandfather.
You know what? I know several books like this. Sarah J. Maas, I see you. Continue.
Bruh.
So then we have being spirited away, obviously taken somewhere else. Then you get foster parents from far off. This is in reference to Stilgar.
Yeah.
Mm.
Listen, like he's the only guy that be riding for Paul more than me, bruh.
Bro, absolutely. He's in the book. He and Jessica have a much closer relationship, so it makes a bit more sense as the foster father. So this is one that doesn't apply to Paul, as there's very few details of the childhood. At number 10, we have his future kingdom. Obviously, he has victory over a powerful opponent and marries a princess. The rest of these, 13 through 22, apply to Dune Messiah. So do you want me to shoot through them or no?
Nah, I think let's just
Yes,
save
sir.
that.
Oh,
for the
Yeah,
peeps,
we'll
'cause
keep
that
that for the
one's-
next part. Yeah.
That one's actually gonna get adapted. So yeah, for the peeps who don't know, of course, Dune is based on a book series by Frank Herbert. Then the first book is split into part 1 and part 2, and the Villeneuve, whatever the guy's name is, he's planning on adapting Dune Messiah as Dune Part 3. Then of course there's like a couple novels after that, but he hasn't said that he wants to adapt them. But yeah, those novels get a bit weird, so you can look that up as well later in your own time if you like.
So now, like,
the end of part 2 is the end of the first book.
Yeah, basically.
okay, so like specifically going now into that kind of hero's journey and looking at that kind of narrative, we've already made references before, like while you were talking to like Macbeth, to Star Wars, that kind of hero's journey and like the way they do that, you know, that kind of lining. If you look at that, say, what kind of other like hero's journeys do you think like he could have potentially taken then, like him himself?
I think the better comparison to make is other chosen one stories, you know.
So I
'Cause-
touched on Luke already because it does fit very well into Campbell's story, Campbell's model. So that is just one example. And interestingly, actually, by The Last Jedi, Luke has taken a Raglan mythic journey. Anyway.
Interesting. And I feel like there's a lot of other stories that kind of follow a similar format, but it's like Dune is so unique even within that, you know, because you look at the stories like Harry Potter, you look at Star Wars, of course, which was inspired by Dune, and you know, a lot of those stories are very focused on prophecy, which is quite interesting. Sure. And I think the thing that fascinates me most about Dune is with Harry Potter and with Star Wars, the prophecy is not really like the longest standing prophecy, you know, it's more, most of those prophecies are quite young. Like in Harry Potter, the prophecy is maybe 10 years, 15 years old. In Star Wars, maybe slightly longer, maybe 50, maybe 30 years, because then of course it also applies to Luke and Anakin as well. Of course, they both go their own ways. And then with Dune, it's something that's been done for centuries, you know. When you look at the what are those mothers called again?
The Bene Gesserit.
Yes, sorry, the Bene Gesserit. The Bene Gesserit literally put in this prophecy for like basically centuries, which is quite fascinating.
In fact, I think the only thing that I've read, like now book-wise, that had that kind of prophecy would have been Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, right? And the main character there, I'm not going to spoil the book too much, but there was a really long prophecy that was made basically from the conception of that world. Of that there was going to be a merging between the two different universes with her character specifically involved, and how that was going to impact her whole life later on. And she only finds out about this prophecy when she's 18 going 19, and she's gone through like a lot of stuff in her life, right? Yeah. And what I appreciated because also these are the type of books I read, and when I watched the movie, what I appreciated was like those flashback scenes that kind of referencing to it, but not big reference, but rather slow burn kind of referencing to that prophecy, because that's what kind of happened in that book, especially when she went through the universal fall through the different universes. That's kind of what happened. Versus if you look at like Percy Jackson or Star Wars or Harry Potter, the prophecy is really from the beginning kind of told to you, kind of really showed like, this is the prophecy, this is the point, this is what they have to do.
I think it's actually kind of funny in Percy Jackson because the prophecy happens at the beginning of the book every time.
Every single time there's a new prophecy. And I feel like Percy's pissed at one point. No more. Like he literally at one point, like I remember he got so mad when the gods call him up and they're like, "What gift would you like?" He's like, "You know what? I don't want to be part of you. You make our lives annoying." Like his favorite goddess is Isis because she hasn't put them on any quest. Just like, thank you, bro. All he did was help communication.
Percy Jackson, god of parental, like of child support.
Please.
So that's because
Guys, no. Like honestly, the gods just didn't care about their kids. Can we just talk about that? Like I love that whole vibe. Like you go all the way to Tartarus and then you find out the lightning was in your backpack the entire time.
That is the funniest thing.
Wait, just to confirm, you've both read the books, right?
Yes. Yeah, the movies are horrible.
I'm the random third person here that has never read the books. I've only watched the movies. I often hear, I've heard. Okay, listen, I've heard that like the movies are atrocious.
They are.
Personally, when I was a kid watching them, they were some of like the best movies I ever watched. When I watched YouTube videos, guys, like I'd watch YouTube videos where people were saying Percy Jackson is so horrible, and I was like lost. I'm like, what? Then they were like, they changed everything. Like the people aren't old and all that stuff. They were 13. I was literally like, what?
You go first, girl.
I think if you have no reference,
exactly,
this is a fresh story for you. The movies look gorgeous. There's so much like fun things. If I had no context, but having the context makes me want to, like Caitlyn, vomit.
You don't understand, right? So I read all the books. I've read all the way till Trials of Apollo. I've read Rick Riordan, all of them, except Magnus Chase. That's the only one I need to get into, and I really need to read that soon. Yeah. Right. I read all the books first. So my mom and dad downloaded the Percy Jackson movie. And I was like, oh wow, Lightning Thief, let me go on. I couldn't make it as a 13, 14, I think it was 13, 14, maybe 15-year-old child. Couldn't make it past 5 minutes of that movie. I wanted to delete it. I wanted to delete it off the hard drive.
Cry?
I did. I did cry. I switched it off. I cried. I went to read the books. I mourned. if I had Instagram or any social media, I would be that you would see a long letter asking to delete, cancel, remove, and burn that movie.
Damn.
Yeah. And the second one was even worse.
I didn't even watch it. I don't even know why you do that to yourself.
Do not.
Anyway,
I just saw it on DSTV the one time.
okay. Oh god, it was
Back in the day, man.
DSTV.
Do you think it was alive? I missed it. Anyway, before we spiral too far into this, before we spiral too far, we'll do that another time. Box Office movies, we'll do that another time. But specifically going back to the hero's journey in that aspect, if we're gonna use reference to Percy Jackson, it's still like in this like with Dune, and I would really go into the parental one, right? So like we see in Dune, like he literally has the mom and dad who's king and queen, and as that whole kind of journey, being killed in your childhood, that whole thing, right? Father's king, often trying to be killed by a near relative. Percy Jackson really does that. And the fact that not really that his mother is a queen, but more like the parents would be a god.
They don't have to pull out all
not
of them.
exactly. So like one parent, right? Because remember they're demigods. One parent would be a god, which would give a higher power, exactly, and the other one would be a parent, exactly. And especially when we look at that kind of aspect, we see that they do technically try to get killed when they're young, right? There's all these monsters, and like the whole aspect of mother sacrifice within the hero's journey, I think is something that people don't notice. Like what the mother had to do to ensure that their child would get to where they are. Like in Harry Potter, his mom died for him. His mother, by the way,
They were 21.
guys,
I outlived living James Potter.
I'm about to outlive
apparently,
them.
guys,
Anyway,
so by the way, apparently the power of friendship is powerful enough to kill the most powerful witch or warlock, whatever in the world. The power of love, the power of friendship. That's like not to hate on Harry Potter, but that's kind of funny.
I get
Like
it.
they said, it was the power of friendship, basically.
it was okay,
It's
okay,
like-
technically, but at the same time, Dumbledore should have realized that okay, Harry went through a lot, but Neville went through the same stuff. Okay, technically.
okay,
but before we get
this
in
is
there,
not what
before
we're
but
talking
right,
about.
right, mother sacrifice. Percy Jackson, how his mom ends up like fighting, like almost dying by the Minotaur, going through the whole situation to make sure that the son can get safe, right? In this situation, even though his mother technically, if we look at it, we can be like, oh wow, why is she acting like Lady Macbeth? She's doing that mother sacrifice to make sure that his son is recognized in the space, right? Putting him in a power of position, trying to get him to acknowledge that kind of situation, and that's kind of like, how does that impact it, you know?
And you know, she if not giving up her life, she still gave up of herself.
Yeah.
Like to go against the wishes of the Bene Gesserit with her son was massive for her.
Yeah.
But also like to drink the water of life, to give up her selfhood.
Yeah.
That's a massive sacrifice of the mother.
And I think that was a big mental sacrifice of herself, because I mean, you literally go in while you're pregnant, by the way, drink this thing that's going to basically give you the history of all these people, of all the mothers, like all of it into your mind, and not remain sane. I think a part of that definitely influenced how she further tried to get her son into that kind of subtle manipulation.
And actually, you know, I have a couple things to add on to that. I think the first quick one is the comparison between, I think it just proves our point about how prophecy is handled well in Dune, because every aspect of prophecy was tailored. Like every prophecy they put in, the Bene Gesserit set it up for centuries, and they set it up so that it would happen the way it did. Whereas when you look at Percy Jackson, for example, as much as it's a good story, you can kind of feel like the prophecies are lazy to an extent, where it's a thing of like, let's just toss it in there. And that's what Dune does so well. It makes any other prophecy seems so like minuscule, and I think quite an interesting thing as well, based on what my co-host spoke about in terms of the water of life, being able to see past visions and all that kind of stuff. Is another perfect example of that is Eren Yeager. You know, for the Attack on Titan fans, just to compare, anyone who's watched Attack on Titan, the best way to compare what essentially Paul Atreides' mother did is similar to when Eren Yeager got the coordinates. And when Eren Yeager got the coordinates, essentially the power of the Attack Titan and the coordinates allowed him to see the future, not just like the past lives, because that's a power of like the Titans in Attack on Titan. all the Titan use shifters can see the power or the lives of the people that came before them. But the attack Titan is different in the sense that it allows them to see the Titan shifters in the future. So what that did to Eren Yeager, being able to see the past, the present, and the future, is that it messed up his mind so much that he genuinely could not differentiate anything, and it tore him apart, and that's essentially what happened to Paul Atreides' mother.
Yeah, this is a very quick point, but I do feel we should acknowledge that Caitlyn's middle name is Eren.
Oh!
Yes,
Can we also acknowledge? Okay, it's spelled Erin, and also can we acknowledge the fact that that was just a spoiler? I haven't watched to that part of.
Yeah, that's a.
It's okay.
Like I don't know why someone who's sorry.
It's okay. No, it's
Sorry.
fine because I'm not gonna lie. I'm at that point where I don't think I'm gonna continue. I'm too heartbroken. Too many people die. Too many people. I can't not get attached.
I'm experiencing blasphemy right now. Like,
I'm sorry.
just for the
in
people.
In a book, it's different.
Listen, for people who have not seen Attack on Titan, I just want to emphasize that Attack on Titan has the most high-ranked episodes in all of television.
Okay.
The only show that has almost as many is Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad only has like a half of the episodes that Attack on Titan has in the top 10 even or something.
I just have
like
attachment issues to characters, okay? Don't judge!
Sorry,
I can't
but
judge because after Game of Thrones I struggled to watch any series because it hurt me so much.
yeah.
So guys, look,
I haven't watched Game of Thrones.
Don't.
So I'm part of that 0.01% that hasn't watched it. But essentially, just going back to the Chosen One narrative, when you see the deterioration to an extent of what happened to Eren Yeager, being exposed to that, you kind of understand what happened to Paul Atreides, because even him, when his mother got the water of life, being exposed to all the past lives and all of that does take a toll on your mind, and so did it, and it did the same with Paul Atreides, because even he could see all the futures. He saw all the futures where nothing ended well, and that's kind of what makes him it almost like a tragic hero, similar to Macbeth, because as much as he didn't want to go down that path, it ended up being like the only path. That was like the best possible future that he could go through with, and the unfortunate reality was that he had to sacrifice so much for that potential future, for the benefit of his people, because at the end of the day, war is about choosing your own people, and that's the sacrifice he had to make. Was he gonna lead the Fremen to quote-unquote freedom, or was he gonna allow them to eventually get wiped out,
And I think that's something that definitely impacts the hero story, and I think what I prefer in a hero story is when we figure out just how much weight is put on the hero, how much of a decision you've got to make. There's the typical hero's journey, they go, they end up saving the day, but if you look at the costs, right, it wouldn't really have been that much of a cost to them if they're being realistic. But if you're being realistic, these people are going to die underneath you. If you go to a war with the most powerful against the most powerful, they're going to die against you. Yeah. And if you look at the kind of alliance we had to make, that marriage at the end, right, as much as I was like, why would you? At the same time, I was like, I see why you would.
Yeah.
I see why you would make that sacrifice of your own personal happiness, because you need that link. You need that connection.
It would be the only way his ascent to the throne of Emperor would be respected.
Exactly.
If he went to the throne with Shani, which would be seen more as a concubine, if his throne wouldn't be as respected as much.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely, the argument is in Campbell's model if Irulan or Chani is the goddess or temptress, because the goddess unlocks the power, which you could call Chani doing that inside of the Fremen.
True.
But Irulan she's the heir to the empire. She is that link that he needs to fulfill the golden path, which I won't get into. But very quickly, the last few lines of the book, as I said, are that scene right after Paul is promised to marry Irulan, and Chani is she's heartbroken about it. But Lady Jessica says, think on it, Chani. That princess will have the name, yet she'll live as less than a concubine, never to know a moment of tenderness from the man to whom she is bound. While we, Chani, who carry the name of concubine, history will call us wives.
True. And I think that is something that definitely needs to be heard because even historically speaking, right? I hate going into King Henry, but hey, let's go into him. Let's go into him. So let's look into history, right? Who truly gets to experience that love within the woman in the situation, right? Who actually gets benefited, right? So if you look at his 6 wives, right? People could arguably say that his 3rd wife was the one that he loved the most, right? Jane. And I guess technically we could say that because my thing is he only loved her because she gave him a son.
Yeah.
She gave him a son. But when you look at the first person that he had a child with out of wedlock, wouldn't she technically be the one that he genuinely first would have experienced his love? Because everyone else, I kind of feel like he lusted over them and then he couldn't have them anymore, right? The whole thing of the first wife, right? His first wife, he liked her, but it was his brother's wife.
Don't pretend you don't know her name.
I'm trying not to look like a freak right now, guys. Okay, don't make me go into my 6 era. Anyway, yes.
So Catherine of Arrogance.
Yes, I don't want to look. Okay, fine.
Let's start singing.
Yeah, we're going to start singing.
Let's try not to do that.
Let's not do that because I will start singing. But yes, first wife, brother's wife. Second wife, guys, he wrote a letter over her green sleeves. Okay, he lusted over her.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Third wife, genuinely could say that he loved her. She's the only one who died without having like a terrible kind of situation for her death.
Yeah, she probably got the best deal.
She got the best deal. Well, actually, who got the best deal?
It's Catherine Parr. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
anyway.
for the listeners out there who don't know what's going on, I also don't know.
It's 6. Okay, so it's the 6th one.
No. It deserves it, and next time it will be my turn because we made you feel like that about Greenside.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yo.
Thank you.
Now Caitlyn felt in that first episode. No,
Thank
because
you.
I'm just
Enjoy
here,
being
this is
lost.
Just cold karma.
Like I'm googling in the background. I'm like King Henry. I'm like, what's going on?
I have,
here?
by the way, I have a book about the whole entire Tudor history
Yeah.
because of how much I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much.
Hyperfixation be like.
Oof, guys. But anyway, so like if we look into that kind of aspect, right, of love and what is truly love in that aspect, right? We could always argue he genuinely liked his 3rd wife, or he loved his last wife, or whatever, because he didn't at that old age. He's still lusting over women at that age, right?
Yes. I'm sorry.
But when we look at his relationship, right, I would say if we compare this to Paul Dreas and we look at in the movie, I would say that technically, even though she unlocks the throne, she would technically be the temptress. In my thought in that aspect, because the one who unlocks his true power is Chani. Chani's the one who unlocks his true power. She's there to hold part, and even the thing that we are named concubines, but we know that we're the wives of these rulers. She's technically the temptress, and if not, she's like this. She's being screwed over. She's being used for the throne, and she's not going to get that love. The child you bear, no love.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any aspect to that.
I think also, we could call Johnny the goddess because she saves his life.
Yeah.
And they kind of gloss over it in the book, but in reference to a different Messiah, Paul lies basically dead for 3 days when Desert Spring Tears bring him to life. Anyway, I don't know which Messiah is
It was
that.
more like 5 minutes.
It does
So
seem
that's
like
quite
5
interesting.
minutes, but
It was 3 days.
yeah.
Guys, I
Oh,
can't
that's
wait for that
And-
segment.
And on the 3rd day. Anyway.
On the 3rd day. Actually, while we're at that point, on the 3rd day, guys, on that 3rd day, while we're here, that's a little bit of a glimpse. We'll see you next time. We will see you next time. We're gonna push you off here. I know you hate us. We love you too.
Yes. Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
If you want to
Suffer.
suffer. If you want to see the next part and who is this 3rd day that we're talking about and how do we bring this in, stay tuned for the next episode.
And it's gonna be a fire episode, guys.
It
It's
will
gonna be
be.
a fire episode because we're going to be tackling how Dune handles religion.
Wow. Spoiler alert.
We must give
It's
something
also-
for the people who listen to the end, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will be making reference to, of course, this unnamed messiah who died for 3 days.
You probably
And-
don't know him.
And
Yeah.
my absolute favorite, Prof. Mo, peace be upon him.
You probably don't know him.
You probably don't know him either.
man.
No.
Yeah, but hey guys, this is gonna be a fun episode.
Yeah.
So we love to leave you. Need you to understand. Listen to us carefully. Don't be ignorant. Don't be arrogant. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Snaps.
Bye.
Also, we need to ask them to comment something.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
my challenge now is, of course, you guys know we are going to be talking about how Dune tackles religion, but I want you guys to guess what's another thing we're going to be talking about that Dune, addresses, and they address quite well,
Hint. White people.
Well, I'd say
Hey,
the hint is spice. The hint is spice.
Okay.
White people and spice.
White people and spice.
We'll see. Like if you get it right, we're gonna comment. I think we're gonna reply. What must we reply? Must we reply like real or something?
Something, man.
Yeah,
And
we'll
here's
have a very specific reply. We need to choose a very specific reply if they get it right.
If you get it right, you'll see it. We'll put it on our Insta.
And
Keep
you'll-
up on our socials.
And
You'll
you'll
see.
get a special shout out if you can comment the real name of the spice that occurs on Arrakis.
Yes. Okay, so guys,
Oh,
keep up with our
yes.
socials. See you later. Comment, love. Love you guys a lot.
Peace.
Bye.